everybody. It is Peps and J-Dog here for the round 3 lace-out review of the 2022 season. My friend, Jamie Wallis, how are you going right at this minute with Port Adelaide basically in the toilet?
All good, Peps. I mean, what's there not to be happy about in life?
I have no idea. The birds are singing. The kids are laughing. Port are losing. Life doesn't really get much better than that. But for everybody tuning in and listening to us on all your favourite podcasting hosts, it's Chris Pepper and Jamie Wallis, the co-hosts of the number one non-club affiliated AFL podcast you can listen to through your Port Melbourne peers. We're back again. It was a huge week 3 of AFL football. I was pumped. Jamie wasn't. We'll get through all of that. We're going to have all our usual categories, usual spots. We're going to be spinning magnets. We're going to be going around the grounds. We're going to be checking the contracts. We're splashing the cash 1 week at a time, you name it. And all the usual banter with the guys and girls on the chat, and also everybody sending their messages through as we speak to. But it was a massive, huge week of football. I wouldn't say upsets are plenty, but close games are plenty. And it was, like I said, tighter than Jamie's Lycra on a 60K bike ride, 5 a.m. on a Saturday morning. That is how some of the games were feeling against your skin. Sweaty, moist, but geez, they got you excited. J-Dog, highlights from the weekend, mate. I know we're going to get into it, but was there something that just stood out to you in those gorgeous blue eyes of yours?
For me, Peps, well, thanks for the compliment, mate. That's really nice. I've never actually heard you in our 10 plus years of friendship give me a compliment. I mean, probably got to see the Pies getting rolled. That was a pretty good one.
Oh, but they played so well, Jamie.
Peps. Also, can we just kill? Also, whilst we're here, no, actually, I'm going to leave that for the segment later, Peps.
Yep.
But yeah, seeing Geelong roll the Pies is pretty good.
It was, especially when you see some of the chattage happening about Collingwood supporters. Geez, they thought they were barracking for Carlton. They were flying. Look at us. Oh, they're all coming through at the moment. I've got the old no-neck guy, Heathy Buxton. He's joined us. The unpaid free kicks in favour of Patrick Cripps on Sunday were a disgrace, and we'll get into the free kick count shortly. Tori Vickery Williams, hope you're feeling better, Dale. She is loving the Pies losing. The Roo Boy loves to see the Tigers losing. And more importantly, Justin Parker loves himself. Nothing's changed with some of the people that join our show on a weekly basis. But, hey, buddy, I reckon we start by just going where we always start. First week, first episode, we start with the ladder. We're going to continue with the ladder. Let's pump this bad boy out. Let's get the ladder up for this week. Now, look at it. Starting to take a little bit of shape. 3 teams undefeated at the top, as we know. The Brisbane Lions mauled the Kangaroos up there at the Jabba. The huddle.
Messy.
The D's got over the Dons as they should have. Carlton winning again in an absolute barnstormer, ball terror, rip snorter of a game against the Hawks. Sitting fourth are the Hawks, who can go away with their heads held high. But according to old Heathy Buxton, the free kick count was a little bit dodgy. So we'll get into that very shortly. Hey, Fremantle, they're starting to hit their straps. Lachie Schultz was amazing on the weekend. Absolute beautiful game by that little small forward. They're sitting on 8. Collingwood have dipped down to 6th with Geelong and Sydney tying out the top 8. St Kilda, haven't they had a good couple of weeks? And we're going to get into one certain individual who literally is playing like his name. They're sitting just outside the 8 on percentage. The Gold Coast Suns, geez, it was a sunset up there in Canberra for that mob. Richmond, they're gone. Western Bulldogs finally get back on the winning track. Free kick count. Something to talk about a little bit later on. GWS Giants doing what they had to. The Adelaide Crows. Well, Jamie, I'm leaving that one to you, my friend, on 4 points. North Melbourne on 4 points. And then we have 3 teams on 0 starts for the year. And 2 of these teams you would have said were probably going to be playing finals. Port Adelaide, J-Dog's team, sitting on 0. The West Toast Eagles waffle team on 0. And look, I have to say it, Essendon did put up a good show on the weekend. They had a crack.
It's a third quarter time.
But it still makes me smile when I see them bottom of the ladder. So, J-Dog, how are you seeing things shaping up at this particular moment in time?
Well, Peps, from a selfish point of view, I'm sort of liking this. Port Adelaide lose games, yet we gain ladder positions. This is the strategy. I know we're talking about efficient footballs and 6-6-6 and forwards and structures and da-da-da-da-da. Lose games, climb the ladder. Why is no one talking about this, Peps? Why is no coaches talking about lose games, climb the ladder?
Gee, you're an idiot.
I'm just saying, we jumped up. We jumped up.
What Hinkley's going for
spots.
is, I don't know if you can you deliberately not choke and not deliberately choke, because what you're doing at the moment is pathetic.
Come on, Peps. That ball was going that way, and then all of a sudden it just went the other way.
It was like the guy in the my leg went this way and my gut went that way. There was a bit of
someone said to me, an Adelaide supporter said to me, it was a payback for the Montfrees bounce.
Fair enough, but there was lots of payback across the board. All right, J-Dog, where are we starting this one, mate? Why don't we spin the magnets?
Yeah, spin the magnets.
I reckon it's spin the magnets time. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what spin the magnets is. It's a time where me and the big fella give our 3 votes and who gets dragged for what we witnessed on the weekend. I reckon we start with the bad stuff for a change, because we've been going with the goods. Let's go with the bad. So first of all, we'll just check out if Ron, the great man Barassi, is there. Well, wrong one there, J-Dog. We're going to play that song many, many times. And there we go.
Nearly off Ellingworth on. Bloody weak as piss.
It bloody was weak as piss, some of the performances on the weekend. Can I start with the first one, if you don't mind, sir?
Sure.
Can I say, weak as piss, the free kick differential on Thursday night, 31-14 in favour of the Dogs. Lopsided, if I could, if like, I know we've been speaking a little bit about the Hawthorn, but that was as lopsided a game I have ever seen. I think it was like 18-3 after half time. That's how bad it got. And can I just tack something onto that as well? This protected 50-metre zone, the protected zone 50-metre rule it's too big of a penalty for sometimes what goes on. It's out of control. There's no consistency to it. How do you judge if somebody's in the protected zone if they're walking away? Some that get paid, some don't get paid. It is confusing. I know they wanted to use it to open the game up, but I reckon just scrap it. It's poo in my eyes. Poo.
Yeah, that was well, all right. Free kicks were bad. Granted. Really bad, granted, actually, like that. Western Bulldogs still kicked 17 behinds, Peps.
Doesn't matter.
The game was close. Yes, the free kicks were large, but that game should have been on ice at halftime anyway. Doesn't matter what the free count was, but your protected zone 50s.
Hate it.
Well, it's a protected zone, and the person on the mark can't run after the player or can't move once they've been called to stand. There is a strategy which players are doing these days, and I noticed it a lot. They're actually guiding their trailing player into the zone and then splitting off around the other player, trapping the guy against the 50.
It's a joke. It's
a
joke.
strategy now, Peps. It's a tactic.
It's up to interpret. Could you imagine if a grand final got decided by a preliminary final did by Jim Steins when he ran across the mark? Okay, but outside of that, could you imagine if a grand final got decided by an infringement like that? Shithouse.
What?
It's the shithouse rule.
It's been around now for what? 3 years?
It's been around for, I think it's been around for about 6.
Jesus.
It's just it's been around since Jesus played centre half back for the Jerusalem. I'm not going to lie. But outside of that, though, J-Dog, it's been a lot more enforced over the last number of years as well, too. I just think it's a bit of a farce, to be honest.
I don't see a problem with it. I mean, a 50 is a 50. No matter if it's at the back of the ground or the front of the ground, a 50 is a 50. We know the rules. The players know the rules. They know not to go in that protected zone. I always say it's around 5 metres. Don't go in it. It's as simple as that.
But it's a 360-degree game. Things happen. I just think umpires have lost a bit of feeling. They don't.
You are allowed to run into it. If you're trailing about 2 minutes behind your player, you can run into it.
Running away. They're even putting their hands up and saying, I'm not even doing anything. I'm trying to get out of here, and they pay it. When they're running away from it, I think that's a farce. If the person's running towards it, I get it. But if they're running away, it's poo. Hey, do you want another drag? Here's another one for you. Why the bloody hell does the AFL decide to put on the showdown between Port and Adelaide at the same time as a game in Melbourne.
I know.
What were you thinking? And especially the game.
No.
That game ended.
Do you know why?
You see that free kick, Jamie?
Well, what free kick? No, what free kick, Peps?
Free kick, the one that across the head?
No, I didn't. No, didn't say that.
Sam Hayes one? Do you know
who won? Who won?
Hold on. Do you know what happened?
No.
It happened, mate. It happened.
Right in front of me. Right in front of me.
Here's a tip to all you people who are sitting in the passenger seat of a car. Please don't get your phone out, put KO on, and go, oh, there's a free kick. Oh, there's a free kick. You got to see it when the other person, which is me, is driving. Not a good idea because we almost had to pull the car over and get home late because of the excitement that was shown with the showdown. J-Dog, I'm going to get your opinion on that a little bit later on, but please.
Sure. Don't double head Friday night.
Hey, ski double up a GWS Gold Coast game. That's fine. But when this is a paramount, a pinnacle, a pillar of the season, the showdown, you've got to play it at a time that everybody can see and give it its own piece of real estate.
It did finish bloody. It started late for Melbourne audiences. Jeez, it finished late too. I was knackered.
Oh, I know, and especially with daylight savings finish on the weekend, the farmers were in bed by 5:30. They would have missed the whole thing. Not a good idea.
But Pep's reason why is because the AFLW Grand Final was supposed to be played on the Saturday, so that's why they try to free that space up for the showpiece, the AFLW showpiece.
And I get that wholeheartedly.
But it wasn't happened. You can change it.
Yeah, exactly. It's a rolling fixture. It's a rolling fixture. All right. Hey, J-Dog, I see you've got one in here, my friend, about a certain gentleman by the name of Sam Mays.
Oh, yeah. Just a reminder to all people who watch football, play football, love football. If the game is less than a goal and the ball is in the 50, the forward 50 of the opposition, instead of going for a 50-50 whack on a bloke, just run at the ball with 7 seconds to go. Just a suggestion, Peps, because as we saw what played out on Friday night, Port Adelaide shouldn't have been in that position. We had multiple 3-goal leads throughout the game and still managed to choke it. Anyway, I'm not going to make it a Port Adelaide rant tonight, people. That was last week. How about you just run at the ball and not hit the player? Because at full speed, that was a free kick 10 out of 10 times. I know on reflection, and I know the video replay showed they actually got him on the shoulder, not the head, but the guy did play it up a bit.
I think it was on the shoulder, yes, then got him in the head.
Wow.
Hey, listen, it wasn't a spoil. It was an aggressive act, and you can actually give a free kick away for that type of thing as well too. But can I just say,
sure,
I haven't seen a last-minute meltdown like that probably since Lucas Neal in the World Cup, where he went for that slide tackle against
and the Italian dived.
Slotted it from the penalty spot. Right? That's how far back I thought, hold on, mate, what are you doing? But mind you, the great man went back, he slotted it. What a goal. Like that
Jordan Dawson.
That's real ice in your veins, Bailey Smith. That is ice. Anybody can slot a goal from the boundary with a minute and a half to go, but it's doing it after the siren when you're behind it really counts. And Dorso, you've earned your paycheck from the Crows this week.
There was definitely a bit of Shane Warne inspiration on that ball.
Oh, it went left. It was a bit of a mystery ball. I would have gone a little bit along the lines of Lee Harvey Oswald with the magic bullet. That's
over the sign, dip under the thing,
get round the goal post, under the goal umpire's hat. Exactly right. So,
anyway, so that was it. That was made us at 0-3, Peps, because that's Port season done.
Alrighty, now, big fella, do you want to do the Port Adelaide now, or do you want to do it later?
There's no real Port Adelaide thing for me, Peps.
Well, I'm going to give a drag to Port Adelaide.
Okay.
And I'm going to give another drag to a big drag to North Melbourne after losing by 108 up there at the Gabba. The Lions, ferocious, but what they served up, especially what they've been like in the first couple of weeks, which hasn't been sensational, but it hasn't been putrid. They got blown away, and it's going to be really interesting to see the response that David Noble has.
I like your response. Have you heard him?
I've heard him, but
should be disgraced.
They're just words, mate. They're just words.
I know, but I like it. I like it.
Does he need to go and have a chat to Simon Goodwin? and tell him which one should I pick from aisle 56 at Bunnings.
Oh, I thought you were going to say which bag of Coke should I choose and bring it around to my players' barbecue for a bit of a sesh.
What are you talking about?
Just Simon Goodwin getting on the gear with the boys.
Oh, don't, Jamie, please. I don't want to get a cease and desist again based on your dodgy comments. No, I just think that it's he's going to have to make a statement on the selections this week, and it's going to be interesting to see if he just goes. Now, this is what always happens. Is he going to go a low hanging fruit, or is he going to pick somebody who really did not show up at all, bruise free football style, and really swing the axe? That's what I'm looking for.
No,
because he can go the real way or the weak way.
No, he picked the weak way.
No, don't pick the weak way. If he does pick the weak way, he'll be getting dragged again next week. All righty. Hey, it's off to the big boys now. Let's go have a look at the 3 votes. Hey there, Andrew.
3 votes.
What was that?
3 votes.
All right. First of all, I am going to give 3 votes.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned him a little bit earlier. He is playing like his namesake, Maxi King from the Saints. The St Kilda supporters always give me a bit of, why don't you talk about us, Peps? Why don't you talk about the Saints? Well, let's be honest, mate. The Saints have been that shit for that many years. We haven't really had much good things to talk about. Okay? Your recruiting is putrid. Okay? Your performances are disgusting. But your last couple of weeks have been mwah. And what you delivered on the weekend was absolutely stunning. Mind you, it was against a Richmond team who are on the decline, but you did come back. His last 2 weeks, he's had 2 4-goal games, but it's not just that, J-Dog. He's kicking multiple goals in quarters. He is just a target that he's got that big, dashing, sexy mo on the front of his face that you can't, like a magnet. He just climbs. He gives a bit of, double fingers to the crowd. He just loves what he's doing, and the Saints have got a real corker there. I've been a massive fan of his brother Ben King.
Yeah.
But I reckon Max, what he's delivering at the moment, my goodness gracious, he is really only one of the couple of shining lights in that St Kilda team. But it's not just that. The big boys are delivering. Jezza Cameron, a real bag, a proper bag of 6. That's what we like to see. 6 goals on the weekend in that amazing comeback against the Pies. But you've also got big Harry Mackay. You've got big Peter Wright. You've got Nick Larkey there as well too. Big Benny Brown. The big boys are dominating the goals again, and they're kicking bags, and that's what we want to see. That's where the money's made. That's showtime, folks. Mm-hmm. That's where you drive for show and putt for dough. The forwards, they bring the crowds through the door. No one ever comes through to watch a midfielder take 40 Sheepdog and Tommy Mitchell possessions. They come to see the big boys slot them from Fitty.
Well, Peps, this is the second time you've mentioned Max King. This is 2 weeks in a row. He's got your 3 votes.
He is. He is sensational, and I'm loving what he's delivering. And why wouldn't you if you were a St Kilda supporter?
Are the Saints a sneaky chance in the finals now with the 3 teams at the bottom?
No.
Still not?
No.
Okay.
No. Don't get too carried away just yet. You really haven't played anyone, let's be honest.
Is Baz on tonight? You've been talking about him.
Baz will be there. Baz will join us eventually, I reckon. We'll see. Yeah. He does. Craigie Wessels all the way from the US of A joining us. Maxi King does look like the detective from every Agatha Christie mystery. Are you talking about Inspector Poirot? Death on the Nile?
Don't know what you're talking about.
Murder on the Orient Express? That's what I think he's talking about. Anyway.
Isn't that a movie?
Yeah. Brisbane Lions. I can't say more than that. 108-point win over North. This is going to be a little bit controversial coming from a Melbourne supporter, but I'm saying this. I think that the Brisbane Lions are the benchmark for this season. They're hard up forward. Their midfield is firing. Their backline is looking really solid at the moment. They are going to be the benchmark for the season. They'll be top 2, in my humble opinion.
We've been around there for 3 years now, 4 years.
I know, but the mental demons when they come to September, I think is going to haunt them again.
Ooh, you reckon?
I reckon.
Ooh.
As soon as they get behind, they fall in a heap, and they've done it 3 years in a row. So it doesn't matter how well they play throughout the season, they just got to set that top 2 spot up so they get those home finals. But they are in massive strife if they fall over again in September. And Chris Fagan, who I've got plenty of time for.
Well, Port had him on the ropes.
And then what happened?
No. What happened? I don't know. I went to bed. Did we lose? I can't remember.
You lost. Just
We did. Did we?
Jamie,
Okay.
you lost every game this year.
Really?
Every game this year.
Really?
Exactly right.
Shit.
Yeah. Now, one other 3 votes that I would like to give is an article that I've placed in the show notes.
Yes, I
tonight
did see
is
this.
Concussion Crisis in the AFL. It's a fascinating read on the way that concussion has affected players during and obviously post careers.
Mm-hmm.
John Barnes is a major focus of this. It also goes into the research that was initially started up and then how the AFL sort of pulled their way back from it once they started to realize what the results were going to be. It's a fascinating read. It came out around about the grand final time last year, but it fell across my doorstep today. So I've included a copy of it in there. Some of the stuff that I was reading, like John Barnes, and the fact that obviously he can't drive. His wife has to drive him to work and then drive him home from work every day. She has to watch him have a shower so he doesn't have a seizure in the actual shower itself. Well, that's no way to live. I know you get rewarded handsomely for it from a monetary perspective, but that is no way that people want to live their life after playing a game that they love. And unfortunately, it is a serious issue. The AFL has a massive liability on this. That's why they're seeing all these sling tackles. Anything head high is being removed from the game. But if you go onto YouTube and have a look at something like Biff's Bumps and Brawls, and you go, whoa, that's how the game was played. Now you look at it and go, oh, I would have hated to have played. And I've had my challenges with concussion. I had a couple when I was playing, and my mum's always asking, do I need to go and get tested because I forget things, etc.? No, mum, I'm just a putz. But he's worried the fact that, Chris, you've had a number of concussions because you were such a hard-bodied footballer that went in and put his head over the ball and dominated for over 26 years. I'm really worried about you. And that's nice that my mum cares about me. But, yeah, it's something that I sometimes consider that I might have to go get testing a little bit later on down the track too. So,
well, the AFL are looking at a mega class action on concussion. And that's been the story now for quite a few years. I mean, Sean Smith recently got paid out from the AFL, 1.4 million or something like that, because he fitted the narrow bandwidth of what the AFL class. But then, we've only had to look at very recently. Players are getting concussed, and now they are having brain scans. And the big call around the AFL and what clubs really need to be looking at is, we scan muscles. We scan bones, we scan all of that. I can get to the week of return of when someone can come back.
Yeah.
They should be doing this now, pre and post season, and during the season as well, to have a record of brain injury.
A baseline of somebody's brain scan, and then see what happens towards the end, and then play it from there. Yep,
correct. Because I think that's the only way that we're going to get serious in the AFL, and I think unfortunately this mega class action is going to hit the AFL, and then just watch shit come out of it. There's going to be players coming from everywhere. It's going to be big, and it's going to come. It's going to come. I think Michael Warner's been talking about it for ages, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, Peter Jess has been the one who's been leading it.
Peter Jess, yeah, absolutely.
Been behind it. I know Barnes has been mentioned. What Sean Smith's been. But the issue, like Charlie Keegan has mentioned on the chat, that the problem is with CTE, you can't test for that or diagnose it whilst you're alive. So until there's some way that you can determine what's going on in your mind, we're not going to be able to do anything.
Who's the player at the moment going through? Because he has got scanned to show he actually has got brain injuries. He's currently engaged in a lawsuit with the AFL. Young bloke.
I'll have a look and see if we can find it.
Namely. But anyway, it is something coming up. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens out of it, because it's going to be huge when it hits.
Yeah, so I'll definitely have a read of it, because it will open your eyes up just to see how it's affected people, but how the AFL are sort of handling it. And yeah, he's going to be a massive concussion grenade coming through. So yeah, I'm not too sure it's going to be. Rightio, J-Dog. Who else have we got there? I think that's it.
I think that's it for our 3 votes. I mean, if we're going to just give it, we'll save that to the news. We'll save it to the news.
I know you've got another bit of positivity that you want to share when it comes to the AFL and the games on the weekend. So that means, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be handing it over to our news hound, the man about town, the man whose nose is to the grindstone in every trough, in every change room, in every rub-down table around the AFL world. It's Jamie the J-Dog Wallis. He's here for Around the Grounds. Over to you, big fella.
All right, so there's a couple of things going on that I want to talk about. Obviously, this week is a big week for the AFLW. Tonight is their Knights of Nights, where they get their All-Australian named team and all of the other awards that go along with that as well, including the handing of the medal. I'm going to come back to that in a second, though, Peps, because it is currently going on at the moment, and I don't have any results just yet on anything. But hopefully by the show's end, we'll have a little bit of something for the AFLW. But this week, it's all around Melbourne and the Might of Adelaide. So in the AFLW, Melbourne versus Adelaide, Daisy Pearce, who's been there for 41 games now, has gone through knee recos, gone through motherhood. She had cute kids. She gets to play against the might of the Adelaide Crows and Erin Phillips in that one as well. So I'm really looking forward to this week, Peps, sitting down and watching the AFLW Grand Final, and not necessarily for the game. I'm looking at it as purely seeing two absolute warriors of their respective clubs going at it. Daisy Pearce was the inaugural captain of the Melbourne football team when they jumped in that 2017. And Erin Phillips, I mean, she's as decorated as any sports person in Australia.
Well, have you got some highlights there, J-Dog? Give us some of her stats, because if people don't know who Erin Phillips is, you've got to also take into account she was a WNBA player as well. So she wasn't
silver medalist at the Olympics as well.
What hasn't this person done? So she's not just a gun in our sport, but she's also played the big round ball game overseas and dominated over there as well too. But just some of her career highlights, because we've seen her, you might have seen a snapshot of it, but what she's achieved in such a short time is stunning. I don't think any male footballer has a record like this.
No. 2 times AFL Premiership player in the 2017 and 2019 Premiership, 3-time All-Australian representative, 2 times AFLW Best and Fairest in 2017 and 2019, 2 times AFL Players Most Valuable Player Award in 2017 and 2019, which are her 2 absolute superstar years. Coach of the World Championship in 2019, Goal of the Year in 2017, Adelaide co-captain between 17 and 20, leading goal kicker 2018 to 2021.
And the only reason why she didn't do anything in one of those years is because she did her knee.
Yep.
In the grand final.
Yep.
And still got best on ground. She did her knee in the grand final and still got best on ground. That was the gap between her and everybody else.
Yeah, she's phenomenal, and also the same as Daisy Pearce as well. Also a phenomenal player. If you talk about Melbourne, you're talking about someone like Daisy Pearce. I mean, yes, you've got Taylor Harris, who's joining this year from Carlton, but Daisy Pearce really is the Melbourne body. As if you think about Maxi Gawn is to the men's team, Daisy Pearce is that to the women's team. So outside of that, she is on SEN. There's talk about her becoming one of the first female coaches at the Geelong Football Club next year. And for Erin Phillips, it's becoming Port Adelaide's inaugural player/captain coach. So this is going to be their last games for both of them, but in different respects. Daisy, last AFLW probably game for her career. And then Erin Phillips is going to move on to Port Adelaide next year, was highly speculated.
So there's two. Because her father played for Port Adelaide quite a bit. There's a bit of a family connection there.
Did.
So I can look at Daisy Pearce, and she could either go out one of two ways in this game. She could either go out Shane Crawford style, okay, or she could go out Daryl Wakeland style and Alistair Lynch.
Or Buckley.
No, Lynchy. Remember when Lynchy went berserk in the 2004 grand final?
I don't think Daisy's going to start swinging like that hard.
Sitting in the back next to Taylor Harris, and she's just throwing cut lunches at her opponent, and Taylor the box is just sitting back going, Daisy's out of control. Oh, wouldn't you just love it just to see it? That number 6 just going them like left and right. Oh, good on you, Daisy. Yeah, it's almost when they said get Robbie to finals, get Robbie Flower to finals, and get into finals. This is almost the female equivalent. Get her to win, and then she can sit there. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it'll be good. But anyway, she's a superstar. Daisy Pearce is one of the absolute faces of AFLW, and
they've been the top 2 teams all season. They've been the top 2 teams all season.
They have.
You've got the best 2 teams.
Yep.
40 grand they're expecting turning up to that game too. Wowzers.
Yep, and
Port Adelaide.
I can't blame them. You probably see better quality football. What's after that? Saturday night. What's the Saturday night game?
Saturday night game.
Mm.
He's running out of the bus.
It's a curtain raiser to one of them anyway. It's going to be good.
Saturday night game will be.
Or do they have the ground to themselves?
I think they've got the ground to themselves.
Can't remember.
They've got the ground to themselves because you're playing on Thursday night against us.
Yep.
Which we're going to do in Tipped Out tomorrow night. And Adelaide are playing Essendon on Sunday. So they've got the ground to themselves.
Mm.
Very
massive. Good. Very good. All right, Peps. Let's talk about something a bit serious now.
Okay.
It's all blown up. Cyril versus the Hawks. It's all sort of come out. Well, I suppose the story has been on the boil now since I suppose 2018, when Cyril just one day, well, not one day, Cyril at the end of the season said, "That's it for me. Age 28, retired from AFL football." And no one could really work out why. And I remember just thinking, what the hell has happened here? Why is Cyril walking away from the game when the Hawks were still in the window for it? But it's all sort of come out this week where Cyril said, as long as Jeff Kennett is at the club, I will never return to the Hawks. I'm still a Hawthorn player. I still respect that. But I will never come back to the Hawthorn Football Club. And it all goes back to an incident that happened back in 2018 between Jeff Kennett and Cyril's wife, Shannon, at the Launceston, in Launceston, about a pair of ripped jeans or something like that. I'm not exactly too sure on the exact details of it, but Cyril and his wife took offence to many comments made by Kennett over their time about, Indigenous this and whatnot. So then this week, what's coming and has come out that Cyril and Sam Mitchell, now being the Hawthorn coach, has sort of reached out and said, I am trying to educate the next crop coming through Hawthorn and, about respect and, Australia Day and Indigenous inclusivity and all those sorts of things like that. But yeah, Rioli sort of come out this week and sort of said, well, I was completely gaslighted in those last couple of years of my career, and Hawthorn did not treat me well. And as long as Canada's there, I will not be part of the program. So sad affairs because of, Cyril is one of those players and of the era that probably you and I, watched a lot of football with our mates at that time, to just in 2018 just was gone. So I'm glad that Mitchell is educating the new crop. And I hope that one day Cyril and the Hawks reconcile, because he's too important of a player, of a figure of a status at that club, just to not have anything to do with them. Again.
Yeah. And the thing is with Kennett, right? So he's finishing up. So there's some chat coming through like he's got to go, he's got to finish, he's got to do this.
Yeah.
So be it. Like he's finishing up. So his presidency will be finished. And I don't think, they're moving out to Dingley. They're not going to get any government funding while Kennett's there because both sides of Parliament don't like him. All right. So they're going to get it completely out of the way. So when they bring their new guy in, but yeah, I've always said, and I'm still going to stay with this, and people are going to yell at me, and they're already yelling at me on the chat right now, though. I think Cyril's a little bit overrated.
Yep.
Right. I think, don't get me wrong, great player. Yes, he won 4 flags.
I got a question, Peps.
But
when you say overrated, do you mean across 4 quarters, or as a player of what he could do, he's overrated?
No, I just think he's consistency. Like they always go on about Cyril, but there's games where you just wouldn't see him at all.
Yep.
And then there'd be games he pops up and does something. And look, don't get me wrong, I loved watching him. Like some of his highlights have blown my mind. So don't get me wrong. But I've always said I would rather put up a Stephen Milne over a Cyril Rioli any day of the week, because Milne was more consistent, kicked more goals on a regular game. Now that might have been because he didn't have as many avenues to goal. Like they had Rewalt, they would have had Kajitsky, would have had Hamill there for a bit. But outside of that,
Lenny Hayes.
No, don't start Lenny. Not Hall of Fame night yet, J-Dog. Is not Hall of Fame night yet.
Good bloke.
Good bloke. But I just think that, I would just take, if I had to, compare the pair, and that's what we're doing. I'm comparing the pair.
Yeah.
Consistency side of things, I would take Milne. But If you want excitement factor and you want to bring somebody through the door and also delivered when it was finals time, you're going to have Cyril any day.
Yeah.
So to see this guy going through what he's going through, there's no excuse for it. And I don't care, yes, whether you're old school or new school, that's against the rules. You just don't do that.
Yeah.
You got to treat people, what's under their skin. Last time I all checked, we're all one. We're all mankind. We're all one race, right?
Yep.
There's no. So maybe he's a dinosaur. Jeff Kennett's a dinosaur. I like Jeff, but then now he's getting to the point where I'm like, dude, you can't say that. Even, you chat to I chat to my dad sometimes. I know it's like with your parents, listeners, you speak to some people and you go, oh my God, Trev, you can't say that.
Yeah.
They don't, it's no disrespect, but times have changed and they've just got to adapt.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I'd love to see him back. Any club would love to have that guy. Could you imagine small forwards just sitting with Cyril and just for an hour and just picking his brain about footy?
Yeah. Well, just in the small forwards there, like just to sit there and say, what did you do? How did you do it? What were you thinking? What was it like playing in that Hawthorn three-peat team? Just all of that. Amazing.
Yeah. Yep. And you know what? Some of the stuff coming through, I agree with wholeheartedly. It is one of the hardest positions to play on the ground because a lot of the time you're having to find space where there is no space. Now, go on to the good days where the forwards were empty.
Yeah. And often your leading patterns are there to support the main forward. You're running across the ground to get them space behind you.
And have you ever tried doing a front and center? And the people who are listening right now on the chat, tell me, have you ever tried to play front and center to a full forward these days when you just don't know which way they're going depending on the leading pattern?
Yeah.
It's a game of kaplunk. Good luck. So it's not easy.
No.
So it is a hard position. It is unrewarded. But geez, if you can find one that can play, and now it's not just about kicking goals, it's about tackle, it's forward 50 pressure, it's everything. Cyril brought all that.
Yeah. I mean, Cyril was one of those players that I absolutely love to hate.
Yep.
Like, he was part of that Hawthorn team that everyone loved to hate. The same as all the Geelong superstars as well, the Brisbane superstars.
Yep.
You're probably going to have the same now if Melbourne was to do a back-to-back, Peps, and I just keep it in your pants. But if they were to do a back-to-back, you're going to have the same hate on Gawn, Petrarca, Oliver, Neil Bullen, all the same sort of hate.
Oh, Cozzy Pickett's going to cop it.
Yeah.
Like he's in his third year, and there's no comparisons here, anybody. I'm not comparing anybody with anybody here, all right? But the closest thing to a Cyril running around right now is because his excitement, but he is, his season has been a little bit flaky. First game and last week, a bit flaky. The week before. So he plays a little bit like Cyril where he doesn't hit the scoreboard, but he does put that pressure on, does put those tackles on, make it difficult for people trying to exit the D50, as the coaches say these days.
That's right.
Yeah.
The
great man Heathy Buxton, absolute superstar. Got to also remember, though, regardless of what you think about Jeff, he has raised quite a bit of money for Beyond Blue as well and is a chairman of that. So he has his good points, but sometimes the old mouth doesn't connect with what's going on up top and, doesn't come out the way you're thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, it's where sometimes you want these things to just have a conversation behind closed doors and not come out in the media. But yeah, I mean, end of the day, we all want Cyril back at Hawthorn. We all want Cyril back at their clubs. We all want all players back at their clubs when there's had a bit of a fallout.
Hey, if Kevin Bartlett can go back to Richmond,
that's right.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Just give it time. All right. If Derek Kickett can go back to Essendon and break bread with Sheeds, anything can happen.
Let's see what happens with Bucks and Trelaw.
Well, that's the next one, isn't it?
That's the next one. Let's see what happens there.
Oh.
All right. What else do you want the news, Peps, want to talk about?
Oh, can we highlight really, and you've got it in your thing here, just a cracking round of footy. I know we've sort of held off on it. We've had so many issues, but from a football lover's perspective, it was a gorgeous weekend of footy.
It was
full stop. Can I just go through this?
Sure.
The Thursday night game, Western Bulldogs Sydney. That was a belter. Even though the doggies couldn't kick straight, it was a that was the toughest the Doggies have played all year.
Less than 2 goals, that result.
Okay.
Yeah.
Melbourne, Essendon. Now, yes, Melbourne did win by 5 goals, but I can tell you now, the number of people on the weekend I spoke to said that Essendon were poo. They weren't poo. They gave it to the D's as much as they possibly could.
The third quarter, they were 3 points up.
They were almost 2.5 goals up at one stage. Then Melbourne did what they had to do. So don't look a gift horse in the mouth. That was a hard fought win. Being at the game and watching it live, perfect. Adelaide, Port Adelaide. We don't have to speak for itself. Can I ask Jamie, what's it like following a team that led for the entire portion of a game? They led for the game 100% in normal playing time and still happened to lose a game. Can't say I've experienced that.
Peps, I'll tell you the perfect analogy to how it felt. You know that first drag scene in Fast and Furious #1? Where he's saying, I almost had you, and then Dom goes, you never had me, you never had your car?
Yeah.
That's what I felt like. Like, Port got their nose in front quite a few times, couldn't seal the deal, and then Adelaide, just the Dom Toretto at the end, just through the goals. Game over. Thank you very much. Put Adelaide zip 3.
Alrighty. So the Adelaide Croettos, as they're going to be known now, the Croettos, based on what we've heard.
And now I'm going to join them and go and steal some VCRs from the back of a truck.
Get your Honda Civics out, peeps. So GWS Gold Coast, yeah, that was an exception. Brisbane North, a massive exception. Collingwood Geelong. Do you have any? Raise your hand or give me a hell yeah, Stone Cold Steve Austin style, because WrestleMania's night 1 and 2 happened on the weekend, which was pretty cool. All the Collingwood supporters going, hello, toot, 7 goals in the first. How good are we? How good are we? And then Jeremy Cameron went, stuff you guys. Just in the last. Carlton Hawthorn, a belter of a game. Like
proper good.
Two teams that are playing they're just playing good footy. Yep. Footy that, from a football supporter's perspective, you don't have to follow either of these teams. You sit down and go, that's what I want.
Yeah.
That is the way. I like it. You got St Kilda and Richmond. Richmond were up, and then St Kilda have just gone whooshka and won that one.
62 points unanswered for or something like that?
I think they kicked the last 11 goals of the game. And then you got Wet Toast. Well, they were putrid. At that stage, that looked like it was going to be a 102 with Fremantle. So if you look at that, out of the 9 games, 6 of them were pretty Mickey Mouse. Yep. That's what you want to ask for. That is what you want to ask for.
What's West Coast issues now? Is it still COVID and injuries? Like this is 3 weeks into the season. Like, is it still what's going on with them?
I think it's COVID protocols.
Yeah.
I think it's tainted Gatorade bottles. I think it's more COVID, and maybe they're just no good.
Well, here is their outs.
Is tanking? Do you reckon Wet Toast are tanking, but using COVID as an excuse?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players were out this week due to the protocols. Luke Shuey, Willie Rioli, Liam Duggan, and Bailey Williams, and there's someone else.
Do you reckon that 24th player has still been able to get a game?
Saying that, though, look, the ins this week were pretty big. They had Josh Kennedy back in, Nat Nui, Langdon, Gaff.
They're all names. They're names from 4 years ago.
Redden. I suppose Redden is.
Doesn't matter. They're like Richmond. They're no good. Richmond are no good. They're done, mate. They're done. Put a fork in them, baby. They're done.
Dynasty done?
Dynasty is done.
You called it last year. You're officially calling it now?
Oh, I'm calling it now. And anybody who says I'm wrong, so be it. But they've got nothing. No Dusty, no Richmond. It's proved it. And they had 11 goals straight kicked on them on the weekend.
What do you think Dusty is a businessman?
Very smart man.
Well, he's going back to run his father's business, I reckon. That's the latest story.
He's a very smart man.
I can't see Dusty in a suit.
He says he's going to wear a suit.
Suit. Tie man? You can be a tie person or a shirt undone?
Tigers. I'll tell you what, mate. Mark Zuckerberg wears hoodies. and he's a quadruple billionaire. Dusty, I think Dusty can wear a Nina and Pasadena t-shirt to work every day and still rake in the cash.
Do you reckon he'd be more of a skivvy and blue jeans and a white pair of New Balance?
Oh, you're going to be the Steve Jobs action.
512s?
Cool.
New Balance 512s?
I reckon he'd wear the Levi's 501s too.
Oh, that's classy.
They're classy. With one of those Gucci GG belts.
I wonder what his business is. His dad's business, anyway. Doesn't matter.
You don't want to ask.
Don't
Don't ask. You will stay away from that, J-Dog. You're not. A, you don't have enough tats, and B, you couldn't fight yourself out of a wet paper bag. So just
True.
don't worry about it. Alrighty. Hey, I think it's time to have a look at this week's Rising Star, ladies and gentlemen. So the Rising Star for this week is
overdue.
You reckon overdue, big boy?
Wow.
Overdue? Well, it's not overdue if there's been two others that have been better than him. Nicky Dacos finally gets the biscuits. Nick Dacos, son of the Macedonian Marvel. Round of applause for you. He racked up 26 touches and kicked a goal in the Pies' 13-point loss. So his game wasn't that good. Otherwise, he would have got them across the line. But he is averaging 25 touches a game. The last time I saw a Collingwood player get 25 touches was Jordan De Goey in a New York nightclub. And we know how that ended up. Rightio. Splashing the cash time, big boy.
I know.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money,
Dollar, chicken wing, dollar bills. Ching, bling, bling, dollar bills. Alrighty. Splashing the cash time. Now, when it comes to player contracts at the moment, we are a little bit light on when it comes to the information. But
there's not much there, Peps. It's just burley in the water.
It is very early, but there has been a bit of a murmuring. And the biggest murmuring to come out of this weekend was a gentleman by the name of Angus Brayshaw. Now, we know
Never heard of him.
Premiership star, played his best game of his career in the grand final. Absolute gun.
Doesn't have a neck.
He doesn't need a neck. So anyway, he's been mentioned because he is an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. Will he walk if he gets the best offer for himself? Melbourne have tied up Gawn, Petrarca, Oliver. Still got Jackson to go. And if you had to put those, May signed up, Levers signed up, Bowie signed up. All those guys are signed up. There's only two that they haven't got, which is Jackson, which we spoke about last week, and Brayshaw. So it's going to be one of those things that after his 20 marks on the weekend, 34 disposal game, interest is starting to rise up above him as well too. Rumours
going West Coast.
Would you go there? Would you go there just for the money? If you want to flag this year, so here's the question. If you want to flag with the Ds, and I'm not going to say that they are going to win it, but if you want to flag with the Ds, that gets you 2 flags. Would you then take the cash?
You're talking very dangerously at round 3 of the season. You're talking about Melbourne and premierships already.
I'm only going by what
Is this the Demon podcast? What have I done here?
Anyway, but there's also some massive names that haven't signed up either. Shut up. All right, we've got people like Dane Zorko, Tex Walker, Ed Kerno, Jamie Elliott, Tom Hawkins, Phil Davis. Don't worry, he won't be signing up. He will be retiring. David Mundy.
Retiring.
Two of the big ones, Isaac Rankin and Jack Lukosius are yet to sign as well too.
Port Adelaide. Done.
Port Adelaide. Why would they go there? They'll only go there if Ken's not there.
Oh, shut up. All right, so Dane Zorko, short contract, 1 or 2 years. Tex Walker, lucky to get 1. Ed Kerno, a couple. Jamie Elliott, probably another couple. Tom Hawkins, retire. Phil Davis, just somebody that I used to know.
Have you seen the size of Tom Hawkins? Have you seen how clean his teeth are? They're like Tic Tacs.
He's still a beautiful man.
He's a beautiful man.
Phil Davis, who's that? Peps. I used to know him, but now I don't know who he is anymore.
He's from GWS.
Is he?
Yeah.
Hasn't played for. Has he played much, Peps?
Yeah, he had a massive twang on the weekend. He had a massive twang, and he's gone. He's done.
David Mundy, nah. Rankin and Lukosius, yeah, that'll be the hot property for Port Adelaide and Adelaide to fight over.
But have you got anything to offer them? You're going to have to offer first round draft picks for those guys.
Oh, Jesus. The way that people are talking at the moment, we're giving up Connor Rosie.
That's what for Connor Rosie and Zach Butters.
Sell the farm.
The bow and arrow guy too, because he's a wanker.
Everyone's going Port Adelaide's just selling the farm.
Yep. Funny thing though is that Justin Parker went Bradshaw to Freo. I don't think Bradshaw can. After his time when he was with Alistair Lynch down at Brisbane, he did go to Sydney. It never worked out for him, and I think he'll be a little bit too old. Good old Mr. Bradshaw. But we're talking about Angus Brayshaw. Just want to clarify that one up for you, young fella. But you're having a go, and that's the main thing.
What
All
is Angus Brayshaw's? So he's what is he? Unrestricted free agent.
Yep.
Ooh.
So he technically can walk.
Ooh. Ooh. Okay. All right.
Now you look at him. Look at the smile in your eyes now.
That's gonna be a bit exciting with a West Coast bit of brother action.
Oh, exactly. Why would you go there for?
Who's a better Brayshaw, you reckon?
Well, one's a premiership player and the other one isn't. At the moment, they're both.
Are you going to say a dual premiership player? Are you just going to drop that again?
No, he'll be a 4-time premiership player by the time he finishes his career. Anyway, all right, J-Dog.
Yep.
Question of the week.
Yep.
The question last week was, out of the Hawks, Carlton and Collingwood, who's going to end further up the ladder? The response was pretty overwhelming, wasn't it?
It wasn't bad, actually. A lot of people are liking the Carlton smell.
I do like the Carlton smell. And can I say, Brendan Bolton, you planted those seeds. Don't
go giving him the credit.
He planted those seeds. He got a lot of those players across the line.
Come on. They had no structure. They had no defensive structure. They had nothing there.
Yeah.
All right. So, people said, Carlton, Blues, the Hawks. But overwhelmingly, the Hawthorn supporters have said the Hawks. The Blues supporters have said the Blues. But there's also a few neutrals in there calling the Blues as well. We've got Jared Hodges, who's on there tonight with us. He's calling for the Blues. Jazz, Ruboy, he said the Blues.
Good on you, Ruboy, for taking your hat off.
Charlie Keegan has said the Blues. Donna, she said the Hawks. Yeah. Anyway, I think Blues is the overwhelming comment there, Peps.
It is. So, I like the Blues are serving up at the moment. And considering McGovern isn't playing at the moment either, they're looking all right. They are looking all right. Is it sustainable? Can they play that sustainable football for another 20 weeks or another 19 weeks? We'll find out. We will find out. Okay. So, J-Dog, question of the week this week. What have you got for us?
Well, it was sort of at the back of your weekly rant about umpires and the rules.
Yep.
And we're going to have to workshop this one here, Peps. But anyway, I'm thinking something along the lines of like, what rule would you bring from another code into AFL to make it a better game?
Okay. So what rule would you bring in from another sport into AFL?
Yeah.
I don't mind it. Have you got one in mind that you obviously this has brought something up? Is there something else that you think that we could bring in?
No, I was just thinking, what else is there? We talk about players going to the US to do coaching academy programs, learning. We've got the AFL changing the rules every year, and I'm not even going to start you on that, Pep. So shut up right now. And I just thought, let's see what happens. I saw the notes today. I saw your note about this, about the protected player, and I thought, you know what? Let's just throw it out there. Let's see what the listeners have to say.
Okay. Can I quickly throw out two?
Okay.
All right. So from rugby league, I would bring in the sin bin. So if somebody does like so you know how Draper smacked that bloke in the guts the other week?
Yep.
Deliberate as.
Yep.
Sin bin in for 10 minutes. So they played one short for 10 minutes.
Okay.
All right. That's the first one. I don't mind that one. The second one, which I would like to see is, look, I don't mind the draw, but if they had to scrap the draw, don't go along the lines of, golden point. 35 metres out, directly in front, goal kicking, best of 5. Penalty shootout style.
Are you talking like donkey or something?
No donkey.
Like
you just
play the game of donkey.
No, you just get 5 kicks, 5 of your best kicks that you think are going to kick it, and they just line up for goal.
35 out.
35
every
out,
kick is exactly
straight
the same.
in front. Yep. Straight in front.
Okay.
And you watch You have a look over. You have a look when you watch footy. How many goals are missed from 30 to 35 meters?
So that's your soccer inspiration.
That's my soccer inspiration. So I've got a bit of rugby league and a bit of soccer.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
If it
Very
was
good.
the NBA, more cheerleaders.
Is anyone talking about bringing in the NBA schedule? 96 games,
Oh,
midweek games.
no. Chris Scott wants to go NFL schedule, 16 games.
I don't mind that actually.
Oh, I don't mind 17 games. 17 games was a cracker of a year. Play everybody once. What you could do with the schedule is you play every team once, right? And then there's 6. Then you play 6 more teams again, right?
Which 6? Who's the 6? Where's the 6 coming
Any
from?
6. You just pick any 6 teams. Doesn't matter who it is, right? Hear me out. Any 6 teams.
Okay.
So for year 1, you play everybody and 6 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Year 2, you play everybody and 6 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Year 3, you play everybody, 5 teams, right? Because you can't play yourself. And then you have and then there's a random one for the last round.
So each season technically is broken over 3 years.
3 years. So you play every team twice every 3 years. It's the only fair way of doing it.
Complicated.
Not complicated. Or maybe for you, you're a simple man.
It's definitely complicated for my brain.
And
that's Port Adelaide. Like imagine all the poor Collingwood folk out there and the Adelaide folk out there. Their brains would blow apart.
Yep. And I don't know, mate. I don't know. I can't keep up. But you know what I can keep up with?
What's that?
The end of our show.
It is there.
Can you believe we've hit another show? Look, we're up to show 200 plus now. We've had 200 plus shows of the greatest podcast with our Lace Outlaws, our superstar community who join us every single week as well too. So we absolutely love it. Now, Tommy Roker, before I finish up, I know you're saying 17 games and then top 6 round robin. No, because what happens is then you can have a team that might tank to get into that middle rung to get themselves higher. So what's the incentive? So I like where you're thinking. I just, nah. It can be on the table with the AFL Commission. And based on some of the people who've been let go from the AFL, they've been doing other things on the table at the AFL Commission as well too. So couple of things. So leave a review for us. Jump on iTunes. Jump on Spotify. Give us a review. If you leave us a review, we will read it out on the show. It's as simple as that. All right? Other things to do. If you have any questions for us, just ask us and we'll mention them on the show. If you've got any topics you'd like to discuss, send us a message. We'd love to hear from you as well too. But more importantly, this is the single greatest AFL football podcast this side of the West Cape Bridge here in Melbourne, and I can't do it without the great man, my co-host with the most. You know him as Jamie the J-Dog Wallis. My friend, another cracking show, but once again, as we finish this mighty week, I have to ask you, first of all, when it comes to 1 week at a time, what game are you looking forward to this week?
Ooh. I think it's got to be our game, Peps. Melbourne versus Port Adelaide.
Melbourne and Port. One of us is going to be happy next week and the other one's going to be Jamie. That's the end of our show, everybody. Have a cracking week. Jamie J-Dog, how do you want your footy?
I like it. Lace out, Peps.
And so do I. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Have a great weekend and join us tomorrow night for Tipped Out because that's how you want your tips.
See you, listeners.